Okay, what is up, guys? It's your boy Private Eye Russ here. Again, you can reach out to me at russ@privateeruss.com. Alternatively, you can find the videos here on YouTube. I'll be posting regularly. I promise. I promise. I apologize for not posting so much. I've just been super busy. I've got some very exciting news coming, but I can't announce just yet. You can also DM me at Private Eye Russ on X as well. So let's get into this video. Shout out to Miss Sadia Khan. She comes out with just spitting fire. Now, if I say the same thing, and I have said the same thing, that I'm called a misogynist and all the rest of these things. I'm not a misogynist. I'm just voicing or sharing my observations, life observations as a man who's lived on this earth, and as a licensed private investigator. I work a lot of cases, not just cheating cases. I work a lot of corporate investigations, corporate theft. We've done some corporate espionage. I've worked a ton of homicides from the standpoint of negligent security cases, personal injury, and as well as a lot of criminal defense, specifically I kind of becoming a specialist in the false allegations. So anyway, Ms. Khan has some things to say about women who were involved in sex work. So let's see what she has to say.
The biggest thing that what sex work does is you no longer attach exclusivity and loyalty to sexual performance.
Fair use, fair use. Okay, no longer attach exclusivity. So what she's talking about is women who are involved in sex work. It's no longer an exclusive thing that's meant just for their life partner, long-term relationship partner, or spouse.
So it becomes very difficult to see sex as that serious. Like if I have sex with another man, why it's not that serious. In their mind, they've kind of reduced the significance of sex so much that it becomes easy to cheat.
I think it's impossible for these girls to go back to just a regular.
No, monogamy is impossible, and intimacy.
Okay, she said it. Now, if I said the same thing, I'm talking out the side of my head. But at the end of the day, this is what happens. Sex becomes trivialized, and so women who are engaged in sex work, but not just sex work, women who have high body counts, it's the same thing. Maybe even more so, because women who are involved in this, at least they're monetizing it. Women who are just engaging in sport sex just to have fun and going out and whatever else and just hookup culture, then it probably trivializes it even more. Anyway, let's keep going. Fair use.
Intimacy is impossible. Intimacy is very, very impossible. And I tell you what I really think it is, when a woman has been a sex worker and you as a man know that she's been a sex worker and you fall in love with her, in her mind, she knows what.
Okay, so she made a distinction. Men that know that a woman that they're getting together with was a sex worker. Okay, so some of the things I've uncovered for guys is, unfortunately, guys tend to not vet women as thoroughly as they could. I actually know a guy who married a woman just because she had large mammary glands, which it sounds ridiculous, but he did, and he was shocked to find out that in her past she was a sex worker. She was an exotic dancer who also sold her goods, as well as just the view. You actually were able to sample the goods as well. And so if you know that a woman is involved in that work ahead of time and that's what you sign up for, okay, more power to you. Do your thing. This is what you have to look forward to. But the danger side of things for men anyway is if you marry a woman that you are unaware of her past. Sex work, high volume or high body count, same result. You're going to get the same result from both those two categories of women. And again, it's not to put anybody down. It's not to shame anybody, but it's to warn men that this is what you're going to be looking for. So I'm glad she made that distinction. Anyway, let's keep going. Fair use.
What she's been doing, and in her mind, she knows the depravity that she's been through. She can't believe you love her. And if you do love her, you must love a different version of her, because if you knew the true her, you would not be able to attach to it. So a part of her feels like it's not real when somebody tries to love them.
I heard you say once, like, she has a hard time respecting a man who is going to pay her for sex, and that's why so many of these girls end up with pimps, because that's the only.
Okay. Again, sorry, I got allergy issues today. So, they don't think themselves that they are lovable, or that they should, or they deserve love. So they're not going to respect you. And so then they go even further, saying that the guys that are paying for sex, they don't respect, but the guy who gets it for free, the guy they're paying, the pimp or the manager or whatever you want to call it, they will respect and shower those dudes with love. As a matter of fact, in the next few days, I might have the opportunity to interview an actual working pimp with a stable of women here in the Central Florida area. So we'll see. I may not be able to get them on camera, but we'll see. But we've seen these things over and over again. Then when you talk about this stuff, people say that you're crazy. Anyway, let's hear what else you have to say.
Only man that she can respect.
Yeah, I did say that. Well, in my personal experience of working with them, I work with girls who have OnlyFans, and it's so funny to me. I'll have an OnlyFans model, and she might be making 80,000 a month. 70% of it goes to her boyfriend because he's the one.
80,000 a month, OnlyFans. Now that the high dollar amount that women are making on some of these things, that represents the minority. Most women are making less than $100 a month. I remember everybody jumped on board the OnlyFans thing, and whether you make money doing it or not, what women have to understand is that that stays forever. Now, I worked on a case recently in the last few weeks where a gentleman met a young lady, and he did question her, do you have this thing? Have you done? And, because he has a very conservative family, very conservative background. And, I won't say what he does, but he has a very clean cut public image that he wants to maintain. And so having a wife that is a sex worker, or that was a sex worker, just wouldn't fit with his particular legend or story. So she said no, and he had me do some background information, investigation into her. And what I found was that she had scrubbed her social media, to where it just didn't make any sense. She's a very good-looking young lady in her early 20s, and the only pictures she has are of her, feeding ducks at a farm or some other such nonsense, feeding the homeless people at a food drive. And I was sitting there like, wait a minute, what, is she running for public office? So it was incongruent with what I've come to expect. But we have to look for documentation. We can't just give our opinion, right? So as I was searching for, she scrubbed her OnlyFans. OnlyFans is gone. However, I did find a trace of it, and I won't go into how, but did find evidence that she did indeed have an OnlyFans, and that led me to other discoveries. And so, based on that, he wound up breaking it off with her because she was untruthful. Now, had she told the truth, he still wouldn't have gone any further. But this is just there are consequences to what you do. So I would say to young women, you've got to be really, really careful. Following the footsteps of other women. It's everything is not everything that glitters is not gold. So you got to be really, really careful.
That's in charge of the OnlyFans. He's the one that's got all the hired the bots and drove the traffic. 70% goes to him, and he'll use that money and start sleeping with other girls. And she's hugely loyal to him, she's obsessed.
So women will be loyal to dudes that that according to what we're told is treating them poorly. And so one of the things I always test people on, and I would implore you guys to, I would encourage you guys to try the same test. When you talk to a woman, say you meet a woman, you're interested in going out with her, they will often talk poorly about their ex-spouse or their ex-boyfriend, especially if they have a very strong reaction. He was abusive, mentally abusive. Okay, if he was abusive, okay, did you call the cops on him? Did he beat you up? If the answer is no, then okay, keep listening. Say, okay, well, how was he abusive? Oh, he was mentally abusive. He was emotionally abusive. And so that, that can be, there's so many ways that they can twist that into sound like abuse. But here's the thing that's the real test question as to how they are accustomed to being treated and what you should look out for. Here's a red flag. Okay, red flag, right? Write this down, guys. All right, if she says she had an abusive ex, ask her how long she was with this guy. And I almost guarantee you'll get answers like 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We were married for this time. We went out twice. I dated him, and then we broke up, and then I dated him again. And that will tell you something about what she has an expectation of as far as the standard of treatment that she's going to expect from you. So you got to be really careful, because those are the women that are going to encourage that sort of abusive behavior, and so those will be the most toxic women. These are the women you have to avoid at all costs. Anyway,
Just with him. Now, if this is a woman who's got an only
shout out to Miss Khan. Like I said, if I say the same thing, and I have, and I've taken a lot of heat for it, and that I'm, just a bad guy, a misogynist, and all the rest of this stuff, ist and ism and whatever else. But she's saying the same thing, just from a different perspective. She's a counselor. She counsels a lot of these women, and so, so she has some really good stuff to put out.
OnlyFans, she's obviously beautiful, and she obviously has options. There's men paying for her, but she's fiercely loyal to the man that is taking all her money, and she's fiercely loyal to her boyfriend. And the reason being is she has far more respect for the man that refuses to pay for the OnlyFans but will take money from her. But the man that might be subscribing would actually treat her well. She would think, you're an idiot. You can't respect the man that has to pay for you.
So again, she's putting out gold. Here's how I'm going to close this one out, and that's all. Shout out to her, fair use. Give her a like, subscribe, all the rest of that stuff. I'm not sure what the channel's called, but look her up. Sadia Khan. I believe she's she's the UK, obviously. I believe she's of Pakistani descent, unless I'm wrong, but I believe so. So when you guys are thinking about entering a long-term relationship with a woman, younger, older, whatever her age is, doesn't matter. You have to start vetting these women, especially if you want to get married and you're going to entangle yourself and your life with this person legally and financially. You've got to be extremely careful. This is one of the services we provide. I would rather you guys spend a little bit money on the front end and vet these women going forward than you hire me later on to pick up the pieces after your life is getting shattered when you make these discoveries later on. This has happened to guys. I've seen a bunch of guys go through this. I've had to coach and counsel guys through some very, 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 very difficult times, and it's tough to watch. So that's why I've created a set of circumstances or a system of vetting people. Look, private investigators are not cheap. Don't think you're going to hire a private investigator and you're going to get an investigation for cheap. It just doesn't work that way. But what I've done is I have a way and a system of examining forensically, going back in time and currently, a woman's past behavior, her past associations, and have an understanding of whether or not she represents a high, medium, or low amount of risk for you as a man if you're going forward. So again, if you're running into this situation, I offer these countrywide. It depends on the country. In the United States of America, there's a lot I can do electronically. Overseas, we're somewhat limited, but we can still get a lot of things done. So reach out to me at russ@privateeyeruss.com. That's russ@privateeyeruss.com if you need to vet a woman going forward. And again, I've got some exciting announcements to make coming forward, and I think you guys are going to really love these things. At the end of the day, my job is to try to help you guys, and I'm very, very careful about the things that I do, because I know that if I completely screw it up, then I might be sending some poor guy to the gallows, and that is not what I want to do. Anyway, guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, hey, look, microphone. See, I have had people complain about quality, sound quality. Look, got a mic now. Okay. Anyway.